Welcome back to 10-Foot Customs, and we are continuing on with Rusty's engine build. We are here today because it is April 19th, and the past 2 days it has been snowing here in Ohio, and I can't work on some of the other projects at the house, so I figured this is a great time to come in here and see if I can complete the long block on Rusty. I think the last time we left off, I was going to put the timing chain and get everything lined up front, but I couldn't because I couldn't turn the engine over anymore by hand with all the pistons in. Since then, I have put the timing chain in and torqued the bolts. It's pretty simple. There's a dot on the crank gear and a dot on the cam gear, and with the number 1 piston at top, you line up the 2 dots, and there you go. Pretty simple. So that's what we did. And now we are ready to do the rest of the assembly here, where we're going to put our lifters in. And with the head here, I had to pull all these springs off, all my valve springs off. I've mentioned before that these are the cam springs, and they are too strong for break-in according to comp. I did talk to comp specifically because these are double the factory rate. So I'm going to take all of these off, put my factory springs back on, and then break it in on the factory springs, and then after about 500 miles come back and put these comp springs back on. So that is what they recommend. That's what we're going to do. So that's where we're going to start. I've already got 3 of them off because if you recall in the last episode, I dropped the head on the concrete and I wanted to pull these off to make sure I didn't bend these valves. I did take them out, chuck them, they all spun straight, and now they're going back in. So I'm going to just pull the rest of these off and drop all the new ones on. And that's our last one. A couple of those were a little bit stubborn. There's a little bit of rust on the keepers. This head's been sitting for quite some time. So I'm going to make sure I put new lubricant, some engine assembly lube on all those when I put them back in, just to make sure they don't rust up, though hopefully it won't be sitting that long ever again. Okay, so all the comp springs are off. Put the old springs back on. You can see how much shorter they are too. So. Okay. Everything else looks pretty good. This AMC 258 has umbrella seals for the valve seals, and I'm not used to that style, but I guess that's pretty common on these. They don't have the spring on top and bottom that kind of hold the seal to the valve and to the head. So a umbrella seals kind of just move with the valve, which is interesting, but it's a design that's been working for many, many years, so I don't see why it wouldn't work for me. That's a little sticky. Oh, it's probably because there's a rag under it, dummy. Okay, we're gonna put a little bit of new assembly lube on some of this stuff. These springs have all been cleaned, and they should be ready to go back in. Just put them on and spin them. There's, to my knowledge, I don't recall there being a top and a bottom to these, so that shouldn't be a problem. And I think I'm going to put a little bit on the tops of the springs as well, just to help out with wear. Now that those are all been replaced, I'm going to take a brass mallet here and tap on all my valves, and it will make sure that my keepers are seated. Okay, should be good with that. Now it's going to be time to put my lifters into the block, and then I think I can set this on and torque it down. I think so. Got brand new comp lifters. These are part number 822-12. These are for a CJ, so we'll put these in. We're going to get some get the engine assembly grease. I like this stuff, this Lucas stuff, it's pretty nice. We already know we have a bunch on the cam itself. So we're going to just put a bunch on the bottom of the lifter. And I've got a magnet that I taped off because I know I use this one a lot, and it had, you know, it's got a hole in the middle of the magnet for a light, and so it collects crud. That way the crud doesn't get on my parts. And there we go, there's one. Lifters are in. I'm going to do one last wipe down of the top of the block, and do the same with the bottom of the head. I'm going to drop our head gasket on. See what kind of crud we're getting off with one last wipe down. Got our head gasket, and according to the manual, they say to use some AMC Perfect Seal or equivalent, and obviously I don't have anything like that, but I did read up a little bit, and most of the manufacturers say that modern gaskets no longer need that. So some guys say you can use the copper spray and copper spray them. Other people say don't worry about it, it'll seal. So we're going to go with the set it on and hope it seals technique. Make sure all of our holes line up. That's weird. Oh, it's weird because it's backwards. Let's try this again. There we go. Now the rear water ports line up. All my ports look good. Plenty of material that the gasket isn't covering any of the overbore that we had done. Not even close. So I should be able to set my head on here real nice and gentle. And put my bolts in. There are no locating pins in this block, which I kind of find interesting. I don't think I've ever worked on a block without locating pins, but I guess it didn't need them. But I want to make sure I set the head down nice and square and that the gasket doesn't move. So I had two damaged head bolts when I took this apart. One of them was missing just a whole section of the end of the thread, and this one was just got some thread that was kind of probably just rusted away due to water. So that one goes into a water jacket. I bet I've got a big thread sealant on there, on that one. So I'm going to use these bolts to make locating, so when I drop it down, I also slotted the tops of them just because you know how this works. You're going to thread these in like that far, and then they're going to get stuck and you're not going to be able to get them back out. So I'm just going to hit the corners. It should locate it enough that when I set the head down, it'll locate it. This head is not light. Just like that. Now I should be able to drop the real bolts in and snug them down. These threads have all been cleaned, and they say to just run them in till they're hand tight. So it does not say to oil any of these. I've got these ones. Oh, you go over there. That's why I have an extra one. See exactly what, let me show you exactly what happened here. So this bolt here is one of my locating bolts that I put in, and I can get it back out again easily. This guy here I put in, and it's flush. So it's a good thing I put the slot, come on, let's focus. It's a good thing I put the slot in there, because then I can put a flat blade screwdriver in there and pull that guy out. Now I am kind of not concerned, but I need to look up. This one bolt goes into a water jacket, or goes into the, it's not blind. So I may have to put thread sealant on that one bolt. Okay, so it looks like it goes 1, 2, 3 of these, and then 2 of the regular bolts, then 1 of these again, and then a regular bolt there. This guy here can, let's just thread some of these in. Make sure we got these lined up right. Okay, I have this, it's going to save me a little bit of time. I have it set to the lowest torque rating that it'll go, and it's not much. Actually, you might need to raise it to get some of these to go in. There we go. This guy here. Blind. This is the only one that goes into a water jacket. So we're definitely put some Teflon tape in there. I know the Teflon tape's going to change the torque spec rating on this, but I don't know any other way around it. It goes into a water jacket. It goes into the water jacket. So if I don't Teflon tape it, I know it's going to leak. It's happened before, so I'm just still going to torque it to the same torque spec, but this one technically will be a little tighter. It feels much tighter when you do it with that driver. It felt like they weren't driving, but they're all barely tight right now. And let me go check the torque spec on it. The head bolts get tightened in up to 85 foot-pounds, and you do it in a rotational manner. So you start with this one. It's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a circle like that. So I'm going to do it 3 times. I'm going to set it to about 30, then probably like 65, and then do 85. Okay. They're all torqued. Now, I'm going to go back really quick and check them all one last time. And if they're all good, we can put the push rods in and put our bridge bolts and rockers on. It is now time to put in the push rods, and these are the originals. I cleaned them and then I rolled them on glass. They're all pretty darn straight. The ends are nice and polished, so I don't think there's any odd wear on them. And I did clean out all of the oil holes to make sure that they were all, you can see through them all, and you can. So the only difference I can see on these is there is a dimple on one side and one side only. This side doesn't have it. I thought maybe it was to like tack weld the ball on these, but it's only on one side. And it's different on some of them. Some of the dimples are different in size. I don't know what they're for. I made a query about what they could be, and no one could give me a straight answer on it. And they're identical, and the other thing's identical. So I'm just going to put them all facing up. I don't think it makes a difference. So we are going to just drop them in on top of our flash it. Make sure I get them in. All right. Yep. And that one. Nope, missed that completely. There we go. Kind of hold just a little bit, probably on purpose. Okay, push rods are in. The last step of what we can do for tonight, because I will be out of parts, is to put the rockers and rocker bridges on. So we're going to, I don't want this burning down, so this is going to last you a little bit longer than the other stuff. Okay, and then these bolts get torqued to 19 foot-pounds, and we just want to make sure that everything is kind of where it belongs, I think. So like that. This is going to be fun because I think I want to probably grease everything before I attempt to put these in. I'm going to spin these down a little quicker. Again, set a really low torque setting so they don't over torque. There we are. Okay. That's one set. Do the same thing all the way down the line. Now that all of them are in and just snug, I'm going to double check to make sure all the push rods are down in their lifters. Okay. Torque to 19 foot-pounds, and the long block is basically complete. That's not very many foot-pounds. I have to double check this number, make sure 19 is correct, but that's what the book says. That one must be on the cam. Well, minus getting the timing cover on, and the valve cover is ready to go on, actually. Basically a complete long block. So I can now take this home and connect it to my transmission and transfer case that have been waiting for this engine, and the frame that's been waiting for this engine, and I can put it on. Coming up in the next Rusty episodes will be that. We'll be getting this engine put into the frame, and then I can, make progress on Rusty, because I haven't done much on him all winter. I've been working on Ruby, and I've been working on this Nova. So, yeah, Rusty progress will be coming shortly, and but we have a long block, so that's awesome. So thank you all for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you all have a great week.